give a nice welcome for Stu Brower.
What's up, guys? Alrighty, good deal. So I'll be covering these three things up here. My goal is for those notebooks to get some fucking use because they're just sitting there. And Nick spent a lot of time picking those out. So my goal is the tactics. This is my thing. I like to walk away with shit to do, like little tactics and strategies. My goal here is this. How many of you are planning to negotiate your current lease a new site, or take your existing business, just relocate in the next 5 to 7 years? How many have lease things going on? How many of you own your building? Perfect. Awesome. Fucking A. How many of you is that on the shit I'd like to do list? Awesome. I don't know about you, there is zero plan that I can see for any of us as gym owners to fucking retire from the gym. Single location, not a fucking chance. You're not gonna retire. What are you gonna do with it? Sell it? Do you know what the market is for a used gym? Dick all. It is. And I hate to be the guy to say that, but I realized that in 2014. I've been in this industry long enough to, when I got to the point to realize, holy shit, I've been feeding myself this bullshit lie. I'm gonna sell it. No, you're not. Who the fuck's gonna buy this thing? Used CrossFit gym to a member for 30 cents on the dollar? No. So real estate was my thing. I have a friend named the SBA. They can help me buy this thing so that one day I can retire. A 401k as a small business owner, I didn't know what the fuck that was. Is that a laser? I don't know. I didn't have a 401k, but I had a plan in place to do something. I got a cash flowing asset. And for a period in time, I can do something with that. And my goal is to teach you that today. So we're gonna start with lease negotiations. I own the gym real estate company. We help gym owners lease and buy buildings nationwide. And 97% of our work are leases because only 3% of gym owners are in a position to be bankable to buy a building. My goal is hopefully to get you guys a position today. I'm gonna show you how to hopefully get you in a better bankable position, even if you have no money to put down for a down payment. So real quick, this is me in like 10 seconds. Hey, talking about myself. I found CrossFit in 2005. 2007, I wanted to do CrossFit, but I didn't know shit about business. Guess who knew shit about business? The Globo Gyms. I sold my soul, went and worked for Globo Gyms, lost all my CrossFit friends, but I learned a fuck ton. That allowed me to show up in Charlotte, North Carolina in 2010. I opened CrossFit South End, okay? Awesome. I don't have rock star numbers. I'm not one of these guys, my best years, like consistently, 500K on a 26 to 28% profit margin. It's not crazy. I'm not setting fucking world records, but that was enough to allow me to save up to buy a building. In 2015, I picked up a camera, I hit record. That same day I hit upload. Those are the two scariest numbers when you're making content, record and upload. I did that. I started WTF Gym Talk. It's an entertainment podcast media handle to give my perspective on how to run a business. I had come from this Globo Gym scene. I now had years of this CrossFit affiliate gym owner, micro gym type scenario. I wanted to share with people. That's what I've been doing since 2015. 2016, I bought that building. I rebranded, de-affiliated from CrossFit, different story for a different keynote, but that was the building I bought. I subleased a bunch of space inside of it, so I had a bunch of cash coming through. And in 2021, I retired. I didn't retire from working, all right? I retired from gym ownership. Retiring is when you've done your thing long enough that you can now experience the reward. In 21, a brewery out of San Antonio, Texas came and said, hey, we have one location in San Antonio, we'd like a second one. And they made me an offer in which I could take home more money by sitting on my ass than I ever could in my best years of owning a gym. And I sold out. I had realized the value of my real estate. I had done 10 years as a gym owner. I loved it. It was time for me to bow out. And then in 2022, I opened the gym real estate company to help other gym owners. I'm not unusually talented or unusually smart or overly gifted, and if I can figure it the fuck out, so can you. Let's start with leases, because we all have a lease here. These are the most common lease items to negotiate. So if you're going for a renewal, or you're going to lease your next building, this is the stuff that even if you don't have a broker, or you don't have any representation, you don't call me, will make you a pain in the ass to your landlord, and that's what I want. Here's the thing I gotta say though, this is my big shock. Big shocker. How many of you guys have been doing CrossFit since before 2010? Okay, if you go into the market today, do you know what the listing agent might ask of you? Yeah, but Christina, are you gonna be running around outside on the parking lot with your shirts off? Yeah, eat a dick. Nope, sorry. That's it. I literally just spent 9 months of 2024 getting Publix to approve West End CrossFit in Pennsylvania. to allow them to rent an out parcel, a bank that went out of business, which by the way, banks, by the way, guys, they're going by the wayside. They're great 3,500 square foot spots. Check them out. Same thing with pharmacies. To get them to allow them to fucking lease the space, well, you know what the biggest thing Publix had? They're gonna run around outside with their shirts off. I'm 06. I don't care. I think that's cool. But guess what? I'm not gonna lie. If I'm going to Publix, I need to pick up some fucking diapers for my baby. What the fuck are they doing? We can understand now why in a 2024 world, a landlord might not want you half naked running around the plaza. That's why I don't want you to have to be relinquished to business districts where no one can see you. But there are some realities you have to accept. It's a different world. It is not 06 anymore. There are things you have to take care of. Right of quiet enjoyment, vibration, noise. Anyone here ever have a landlord-neighbor issue with the vibration and noise that they create? What we do is noisy. We have to be upfront with that in the beginning, all right? You gotta be prepared. Unfortunately, COVID caused an issue where it's actually two things. It is the success of fitness franchises times the decline of mom and pop independently owned gyms post-COVID, where they all ate shit and they left a landlord with his dick in his hand and no tenant in the building because the gym barely kept their head above fucking water day to day to day as a business. And guess what? COVID hits, they were shut down for 3 months and they ate it. Now, I've got the same feelings you guys have about being shut down for COVID, but here's the truth, the absolute truth. Right now, if you cannot show a listing agent for the landlord, or that landlord if you're dealing with them directly, a strong financial pro forma, that you can DSCR, debt service coverage ratio. You can't make 12 grand a month and ask for a $4,000 lease. You're not gonna get the site. They're gonna say, fuck off, where's Orange Theory? Where's Exponential? Where's Metabolic? Where's Burn Bootcamp? Where are the guys with a proof of concept nationwide? It's the hardest thing right now if you're an independently owned gym, and it's not just CrossFits, it's anything one of one. You have no proof of concept. When I take a client to a listing agent, the first thing I'm making sure is financially they are leasable. Meaning rent is only, write this number down, 25% of what you make. If you make $10,000 a month, how much is the most you should spend in rent? $2,500. I promise you there's not a financial model you can put in front of my face unless you have your kids working there for free, in which you can make money, pay your staff well, and save cash if you spend more than 25%. And a landlord and a listing agent, they're not dumb. The word is out. You guys understand, the people that own all the land, it's not a large group of them. Okay? It's not a lot of people. And they are looking at small businesses. It's not just gyms. And if you're not showing with proper financials, they will not even might let you tour the building. Your ability to negotiate a lease. So people are like, hey, so can you get me a better deal on that? I don't fucking know. I gotta learn from about the landlord, right? Does this guy own 7 buildings, all paid for by his great-great-great-grandfather? He only pays property taxes on them? Odds are he's not that incentivized to give you a good fucking deal. Now, does this guy own 1 site? And I pull the records, and he is in delinquency of his first mortgage on that site. That's the motherfucker I wanna go after. I like that site for you. We have a negotiating ability there because I know he's underwater. So when we talk about why won't that landlord negotiate with me? Why won't he give me a better lease rate? Why won't he, I want a lesser term. He wants a longer term. I want more TI. He wants to give me less TI. We can only negotiate to the degree in which the landlord is comfortable with those terms. As a landlord myself, I get this, and that's one of the things I think that gives me an advantage. I can come in here and negotiate for the client knowing what that guy's gonna say, what he's gonna think, how this is gonna look to him. But the thing I want you guys to be thinking of is when we are looking to negotiate a good deal, both parties walk away like, nah, I kinda got fucked on that, but so did he, so we're cool. That's a good deal. Walking away from like, I had the best lease ever. And I'll tell you, a guy who started CrossFit in 06, real quick, let's get a little history lesson. Why were industrial buildings the number one thing CrossFitters went to in 08, 09, 2010? What was that?
Space is cheap.
It's cheap. Fuck the ceiling height. No one cares about that. It was cheap. Everyone thinks it's because the ropes were hanging, because Gray wrote the articles. I know. It's because after 08, too many that industry was fucked. 08 crash, and some jack dude with tats carrying some, a medicine ball and some gymnastics, like, hey bro, I'll rent this shit and I'll hang my stuff from here and I'm gonna get people to work out. Really? Yeah, fuck it, dude. You can have a year for free if you sign an 8-year lease, whatever. They were so happy to have us in there. I mean, I remember industrial sites wanting CrossFit South End in there. That's not happening these days. So it's a change in how things are going, and I just want us to like set the expectations, because a lot of us got into good leases. A lot of my clients are still in the same building they've been in for 8 to 10 years. And then I bring them into the new world, and they're like, what the fuck is this? And I have to set that expectation. Base lease rate. There's two things. How many of you guys have a triple net? Raise your hand if you have a triple net lease. Those are worse. Those are the worst, right? Raise your hand if you have like a gross industrial or a modified gross. It's one flat rate no matter what. Base lease rate is just that base cost. That's what we can negotiate. Some places like West Coast, they do price per square foot per month. Most places do price per square foot per year, okay? And this is where when I make a lot of content about operational capacity, the efficiency or lack thereof of your square footage. If you are at Hazard Center East in San Diego, California, and you get charged $42 a square foot, but when I run the size of your space and how much money you make per class, and I see you make $36 a square foot, is that good? No. And you have to break down the efficiency of your operation to the square footage. Again, CrossFitters, we all start in these big warehouses. What have most of us grown to realize? Smaller rents are better, and you're seeing the CrossFit gym size down because we don't have the same luxury of the lower rent. So figuring out, hey, how much does your business make? Man, you're making great X amount of money per square foot. This is probably what we should look like to afford. We don't want to get underwater in this. When you're negotiating your base lease rate, you can always offer a longer term, which I know is scary, but if you've been in business for at least 5 years and you're still going, bet on yourself. You can provide relative comps, so I can pull comps and say, look, here's the spaces. They're releasing for less, Mr. Landlord. What are you thinking? Then again, he can say, I'm not thinking anything. It's just what I want, and he will win. Or you do like a stair-step method. So I figure out what landlords want to make on their property. Hey, and I sit down and I'm like, what do you want to make annually? This, cool. On a 7-year term with my client, he doesn't feel comfortable paying 28 right off the bat. Can I get him at 24? And then for 2 years, then 26 for 2 years. Then jump up to 29, 25. And then jump to this, where you still get the same nut you want, but it gives my guy a ramp. It gives him clearance in the early stages of relocating so he can get his foot going right, get some momentum. Landlord's happy, my client's happy, I'm happy. Triple net leases. So a triple net lease is the most common lease right now, and it's the one that fucks the tenant, protects the landlord. Right? As a landlord, I love my triple net lease because anything that happens in my business, my property, if the property insurance goes up, not my problem. If the insurance goes up on my building, not my problem. If Jose, who mows the lawn and does the shrubs, he decides to start charging me 25% extra next year, not my problem. It's my tenant's problem. And he signed a piece of paper saying, that's my problem for the next 10 years. It sucks, but that is how it works. It's how it was when I was a tenant and I had a triple net lease. But a lot of us don't realize this. We see something on LoopNet, and we're like, oh my God, it's only 18 bucks a square foot. Yeah, you didn't factor in the $9.50 in triple net. And you can't negotiate triple net. It's non-negotiable. It is a sum of insurance, property taxes, and common area maintenance divided by your square footage, added to your lease. It's non-negotiable. But let me ask you, raise your hand again if you have a triple net lease. Do you and your landlord meet annually and do a triple net reconciliation where he shows you the receipts on everything? You are in the top 1% of smart motherfuckers that own gyms. Okay? Okay, right here. If you have a triple net lease and you're like, shit, I'm not in the top 1%, I would love you to join us, okay? All you do is you reach out to your landlord and say, hey, upon January and February is a good time to do it. Can we sit down and have a reconciliation of the triple net fees you charge me? And if he gets skittish on it, there's some fuckery afoot. Okay? I had a client come in and we found out he had been being overcharged on triple net $3.25 for 6 years. I'm not a lawyer, so that's someone else's gig, but I found the problem. And it's just shitty to me that people do that to each other. But it's the world, it's what happens, but we have to be our own best advocates. Ask for a triple net reconciliation. Initial lease terms, renewals, escalations. The proposed initial lease term that both parties offer in the beginning is very telling. Is anyone at your first site, your first lease, anyone like, can I get a 1 year? Anyone ask for like a low, like 1, 2, 3 year lease when they first started? I did. I was like, I don't know if I can fucking do this. Guess what the landlord thought? I don't know if he can fucking do this. So like, when I get a client comes to me and they're like, hey, can we see if like a 2 year lease is available? I'm like, how do you think that looks like to him? He's like, this guy's not sure of himself. You want someone in there dick swinging big, like, bro, 10 years? You got 15? I'll take what do you got? I'll take the longest one possible. That's what a landlord's like, oh, okay. That's confidence. So if you want to step into negotiations proper, you want to step in not being a little bitch about the initial late term. I'm just saying, that's the psychology that the landlord is going to have about you. For landlords who don't want you to sign a long term, recent deal we just did, great base lease rate for Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte trades at 35 for this particular site. We got it for 18. All right, like what's wrong with it, right? It's haunted or there's some shit wrong with it. It was a lucky financial situation. We got it for 18, and I tried to get my client to get locked in for 20 years. Because there's no way that we got a 5, because that's what the landlord forced us to. But do you know what's gonna happen from 18 in 5 years when he has to re-sign that lease? It's gonna be heavy. It's gonna be heavy. We had to write in some caps on what that renewal rate would be. But you want to, if you get a great rate, you want to lock in for longer. You want to lock in for longer. Bet on yourself. Now, if you're like, I don't know if I want to do this for that long, then obviously play that game. But if it's fear, that's the mechanism. You got to have a conversation. What's causing you fear? Is it something about the business? Call someone. There's plenty of people that could help with that business thing that's causing you fear. Get with them. Because if you get the opportunity to get locked in for a good, I tell people all the time, like, hey, I want to buy a building. I'm like, why? You're paying $12 a square foot in a market that trades at 26. Don't fucking buy a building. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Stay there as long as you can. Stay here, okay? Don't grow up ever. Just make sure that when you guys are thinking about this negotiating point, a tenant who does not want a long-term lease, it may be because you plan to outgrow it, and that's fine, and just make sure you show that projection to the landlord to justify it, or else he's gonna think you're not confident in your ability to perform as a tenant, okay? Personal guarantees. Anywhere currently have a personal guarantee on their lease? Okay, I've got good news, probably not enforceable. I'm currently chasing a $3.2 million personal guarantee lawsuit on that brewery tenant. He failed after 3 years. Remember that cute little story I told you earlier, like where I set off into the sunset? I ate shit. First time being a landlord, I fucked it up. Who figured, right? First time doing anything. He ate shit. I'm chasing him in a PG. I'm gonna have to spend a lot of money, and it's gonna get to the point where it's gonna be like, at what point do I wanna stop? When will I settle? And I can't take what he doesn't have. If he's fucking broke, he's broke. PGs are kind of like, anyone here, I'm not laughing at you, but has anyone here ever had an employee sign a non-compete clause? Okay, good, okay. It's just like that. It's a worthless piece of paper. A PG will get you into court. It is only as enforceable as the landlord is willing to chase you for it. And what you'll typically find, most landlords will settle with you for a significant amount of money less. Because you know what happens when you do that PG? You can also tie up the property, which means you can't lease it to anyone else. It becomes very, very messy. I have like my master's in suing people for personal guarantee over the past 9 months of my life, okay? So now I'm not telling you to be pieces of shit and step out on your PG, but what I am telling you though is when you are sitting there and if you're fearful of a PG, talk to a lawyer, not me, I'm not a lawyer. Ask him, how do I mitigate and limit my risk with my personal guarantee? Me personally, when I'm coming up with lease terms, I like a stair-step method. So a 5-year lease maybe, and I tell the landlord, okay, here's the deal. I don't want a 5-year unconditional personal guarantee on my client. Instead, what I want is I want them to have 2 years, and they are gonna pay their rent on time. They're gonna be the best fucking tenant you've ever had. 2 years of superb performance on their end, drop that shit. I know where you have the PG, you're concerned my boy's he's not gonna pay. You're concerned. 2 years out of a 5-year lease, that's not bad. You can feel confident on my boy if you go ahead and you drop it at that point. And we can generally come up with something. Maybe he drops it to 25%. And then in year 3, he drops it to 100%. But that's what we call like a stair step, where you were at 100, because he don't know you. He looked at your financials, he looked at your business plan, he saw your website, but he still doesn't know you, doesn't trust you yet. A year worth of paying rent, he trusts you more. 2 years worth of paying rent, trusts you a little more, so on and so forth. Okay? So a stair step is a great way to negotiate your personal guarantee and your credit worthiness. If you've got stupid good credit and you have other businesses that borrow money and pay it back, that is that's a godsend as well. Tenant improvement allowance. Anyone here get TI when they lease their space? How many people here lease an industrial site? Industrial. How many here, who leases retail? Okay, you didn't get TI with retail? Okay, so TI is essentially when the landlord is gonna give you money to upfit the space. And has anyone ever just for shits and gigs, gone on LoopNet and saw a brand new apartment complex that got built and the retail's down below or some sexy new building and they're like, landlord is offering $50, $100 a square foot for TI, is offering $325,000 for tenant improvement for a credit-worthy tenant. It's great marketing. What a lot of people don't realize, and I get a phone call on, they're like, I got the site, I'm almost about to sign. You do realize that TI is only going to capital improvements if you read the fine print. It goes to MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Fuck, he didn't tell me that. Of course he didn't, fucker. He wants you to sign the lease. No wonder of course he didn't tell you that. Did you have representation? Well, no, he seemed like a good enough guy. Anyway, he's not a good enough guy. He's a fuckhead, okay? And he's trying to screw you, all right? First gen site, second gen site. A first gen site is brand new build. Brand new, you're the first one in it. A lot of times you walk in and there's not even poured concrete, it's gravel. You get to pick where the plumb line goes. You get to pick where the electrical panel is and it's halogens or fluorescents. You get to pick where the bathrooms and offices are. You get a lot of TI, but you'll pay a lot. Second gen site is any site that was already something else. Sloppy seconds. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenants could have been there beforehand. Likely you're not gonna get as much TI, you're gonna pay a lot less in rent. I prefer second gen sites for gyms because the financials, they're really hard. You've gotta be, you really gotta have your opening year, your first 18-month numbers cranking to afford today's tier 2 market, Austin, Charlotte, Pittsburgh, San Diego, those kinds, Nashville, to be able to afford a tier 1 site like a brand new build. It's harder. The way you do this, you get a GC quote. Any of you guys are gonna lease a site, have a GC ready to go. Don't wait till you fall in love with the site and then you have to find a GC. Those fuckers don't call you back for 3 weeks. And then someone else already leased the site. Have a GC ready, and once you walk a site once and you like it, then have him come back and he can give you a quote. You can take that quote to the landlord and say, bro, you're only giving me $90,000 for build out. My guy here, he says to me $230. Now you have something that we can negotiate on. Otherwise, it's just you wanting more money. Rent abatements, that's just free rent. I have yet to not get a client free rent during construction because it's ridiculous for you to pay rent. Has anyone here ever had to pay rent while they were doing construction? Good. That's ridiculous. It happens every day though. Never pay rent while construction's happening and get yourself 6 to 9 months free rent thereafter. Using a pro forma, fancy name for pissing in the dark financial projection, you can tell a story in which I need time to ramp up with my pre-sale. I need time to hire and recruit these coaches. My Northeastern states, I always get this because my Northeastern clients, they can't fucking go outside. Even any of my snow clients and my winter weather clients, they can't be outside for pre-sale marketing. How many months out of the year? It's not like San Diego where you can be outside every day. So I can make great arguments like, dude, you better give him, I need this guy to get 6 to 9 months for rent or else he's gonna default on you. Your rent's high and he can cover it, but he needs time to build up. So rent abatement is significant. If you're looking at a lease in which a landlord is not willing to rent abate, you have someone you probably aren't gonna wanna do business with, or you have someone who's not negotiating properly with him. That was lease. I wanna kick over to this. I was a small business gym owner where I had the rationale of where should I open my gym? And I'd go on LoopNet and I'd drive around town, and if it was where I thought my core customer was, like, ooh, there's a Whole Foods there. Rich people like Whole Foods. Fuck, I'm gonna be fine. This is gonna be great. That's definitely where I need to set up. That was the logic I had. Like, oh, those bars are trendy and those coffee shops are trendy. There's a lot of young people with money there. I've seen a few Mercedes-Benzes in the parking lot. I should set up over there. I use this very naive small business owner mindset to pick my sites. Then I opened the gym real estate company. I got to do this with national franchises of all different kinds of retail outlets, fitness, wellness, all that. And I saw how it actually gets done. And it blew me the fuck away. And they'll never do it to us. They will never get one of us this, what I'm gonna show you here, because we're not gonna make them enough money in a commission. Now Orange Theater they will, because Orange Theater is gonna open up 50 locations in 18 months. And that real estate company will do what I'm gonna show you here today to help them find the most ideal site for them. Because those agents also might lose money if the business defaults. But for us small business owners, we're not getting this until now. So kick over to this, customer segmentation data. Who here knows their core customer? I should have asked that before that because now everyone thinks I'm gonna fuck them. Here, go ahead. Who is it?
Our core customer?
Yes.
It is a 30 to 40-year-old hardworking.
You don't know shit. You know shit. Who actually knows their core customer? Raise your hand.
His name is John Smith.
His name is what?
John Lewis Smith.
I need more.
He's an engineer that owns his own company.
I love it. Married?
Yes.
Kids?
Yes.
How many days a week does he come?
How many days a week?
Yes.
6.
Where does he live in proximity to the gym?
We're farthest away.
Does he make his coffee at home or does he buy a craft? What kind of car does he drive?
He drives a truck.
Does he buy online or does he buy in person more?
Both.
You don't know that answer. You're bullshitting me. I know you don't know that answer. All right. You're the closest though. You're the closest. We don't know shit about our core, and I'm in the boat with you. We don't know shit about our core customer, okay? Generally, we have this anecdotal feeling, and it's typically, at least when I owned my gym for a decade, it was like around like the 20 to 30% that I knew really well. That's who I picture as my core customer. The people I might have hung out with or the people that came all the, I'm like, oh, yeah, like John and Tina and Sally and Ben, like that's my core customer. They were literally 12% of my customer base, which means they can't be my core customer. We have this anecdotal notion of who our core customer is, and this is the answer I typically get, a la Thursday here, okay? I get it. It always starts with, well, I think many of them have kids, but I know some also don't. Like that fucking helps. That helps. So we get this thing here, and we all think this is our avatar or our buyer persona. It's not. Demographics are only one piece of the puzzle. These are two different women. Identical demographics. Identical. But my chick over here on the left, 60% of her shopping is in person. She likes outdoor malls, she likes going in, she likes touching it, she likes the customers, she likes the people who work the shop. She purchases craft coffee, she loves traveling to concerts, and she's in the group fitness. Same identical twin demographic, opposite. Shops online, DoorDashes 3 days a week. Owns an espresso. You know what people do when they own an espresso? They fucking make an espresso at home. They don't go into craft coffee shops. And you know what happens when they don't go into craft coffee shops? They likely don't go into other boutique things. Now, not all the time, but that is a trend with a certain subset of customer segmentation. People who own Pelotons and Tonals are likely also not doing group fitness at scale. And you're thinking, dude, my Uncle John has a Tonal and he goes to group fitness. Your Uncle John is not at scale the majority. You are thinking of the minority examples in your brain. I promise you, this is more what we are all doing, and I did this too. I got these two people confused. Now, when you want to know your core customer, it has to come down to these four. Geographics, where are they? Demographics, gender, race, age, all the stuff that we typically use. Psychographics, personality, do they vote red, do they vote blue? Are they into comedy on Netflix, or would they rather read a book? And buying habits. What, where, when, how much? You guys can access all this data right now. You literally can. I'm going to show you how. All these brands right here. You guys recognize what's Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion? What are they? Credit bureaus. We all know MasterCard, Visa, and a lot of these guys they're just data aggregators. Every time you swipe a card, every time you're on Shop and you buy something that you saw on Instagram for the 15th ad time, every time you put something, you make a mortgage payment, data is being collected on you. Anyone here use Apple Pay to just pay for their shit now on auto? Yes. Anyone use Shop or Instacart? Yes. All that data is being collected and we are all segmented. Every single one of us has a category we belong to already. They know it. You can too. The entire US, everybody in here, it's already been categorized. We've all been labeled, broken down into all of these different groups. There's about 4 main companies that create these segmentations. These are called customer or consumer segmentation groups. All right? They give us these cute little names. There is endless data. What shops they go to, when they go there, how often they travel on an airplane. It's silly. It's creepy, but silly. I can find this exact demographic anywhere. You want to open up a gym in Cincinnati and this is your core customer, I can show you exactly where to go in Cincinnati. Okay? Now, customer segmentation is used in 2 things, marketing, every big brand does this, and site selection. And this is when I got behind the curtain, Orange Theory, F45, Metabolic, and I'm like, holy shit, this is what you guys get? This is how you guys know Like, Metabolic opens up in Wichita, Kansas. They've never been to Wichita, Kansas. They don't know anything about Wichita, Kansas. They open up in Wichita, Kansas. They have a pre-sale of 180. How? It's not their fucking fitness model. It's not their sales. It's not their marketing. Same thing with Orange Theory. They will deliberate on a site for 18 or 24 months because they know if they get the location right. Everyone here, like in real estate, it's location. They're not lying to you. But they know where those people are. Now, you can also do improved ad targeting. We can take a CSV file of every past customer you've had and every current customer, upload it, and then create hyper-targeted ads. It can literally get uploaded to your ads manager like that, and you can now have an audience, not a lookalike audience because of a group that you cold trafficked, sent them to a landing page, Pixel found them, created a lookalike based on them. This is how everyone else is doing it. They're doing it based on their actual customer data. If you've ever ran a Facebook ad or hired a company, I promise you they did cold traffic. And I would love, we'll have a conversation later. If someone's like, no, I used an ad company, I hired them. I'm like, then what did they use to search? I don't know. You can now have that. It's just, again, it's just exposing it because no one else wanted to talk about this. Where's KCI CrossFit? You're right here, right? We've never met. Hi, my name's Stu. I don't know if you want to open up a new location, but if you did, I'm going to show you exactly how to find out exactly where you should go and show you exactly who's in your gym, and I'd love your feedback on it. It's Christine, correct? Awesome. Christine, so we go ahead and we're going to take a look here. That's your location, right? We've got you there at 10767 North Ambassador Drive. Awesome. So all those little blurbs, those little blobs, those are where your current customers live. If they have been to your gym in 12 visits within the past 365 days, those are the highest concentrations of where they live. How do I know that? Because of the cell phone. Your cell phone right now is pinging a satellite every 3 to 4 seconds. The software we use in every big REIT and every big commercial real estate firm, and then they give it to the big franchises, is able to locate. I could then click a few buttons and show what's the most common route they use to get home. I know where their kids go to school because the cell phone goes there. I can tell you where their favorite places are to shop, restaurants that they go to. It's really it is. And it's creepy because some random fuck like me can have access to it. For almost 6 figures, you can have access to this information, guys. It's crazy. I can go ahead and we can break down exactly which zip codes they live in. And if I get real specific now, I can run them through a segmentation report. Now, your customers, these are the ones in the past 12 months have come 12 times or more, okay? They resonated highly in category B. And all the segmentation companies, there's 4 main ones. The one that I'm using, they all use cute little names. Everyone see cute little name there for number B? Wealthy suburban families. Well, what the fuck does that mean? That is wealthy and driven suburban families live in children-driven lifestyles. You scored very high there, 24%. C, upper suburban diverse families. Upper middle class suburbanites working white-collar jobs from a range of ethnic backgrounds, 20.4%. You also did well mainly here, down here I want to point out this category, young urban singles and the young professionals. I would typically combine those because they're very close in their segmentation. We also had D, you did decent in D. All right, so what I did is I took your top performing segments and I can make a map and I can go out as far as you want, anywhere in the continental United States. We want to open a second location. I know where you should go and where you shouldn't, okay? If you're looking at that second location and you're like, Stu, I think Gladstone would be awesome. You what? Plaid City? Let's look at it. Where's Plaid City? I've literally been in Kansas City for less than 24 hours. So where's Plaid City? If we look at maybe South Platte, so what we typically want, so again, you don't have just one core customer, you have multiple segments. So I normally take the top 3 to 4. So in this example, I would always I want a Venn diagram. I'd want to put the next location where multiple colors are touching. Or the best, I could put you in a dead zone in between. Like, I don't need you to be in the middle of where it lights up if you could be like surrounded by where it lights up. But that's how you start the conversation. That's how you go ahead and get someone from my team to not waste your time looking at 30 different locations that wouldn't likely work. And it's data driven. Now, here's the deal. This is only 75% accurate because I took off the cell phones. Christine actually calls me. I'm gonna have her give me that CSV file, and now I'm at a 95% accuracy, assuming there's also data error entries in some of those. The great thing about these reports, it'll show us which customer CSV files, what percentage were not accurate, meaning the address was old, the email address didn't work, the name, whatever. So it gives us a grade of your CSV file. But we could literally upload her CSV file and look at exactly where she should go. Is anyone here, okay, raise one, I want it one more time. Who, like, buying a building, it would be dope. I would like to do that. It's on my radar. I hope one day I can make that happen. You should. Again, if you have a cash flowing business in a building, the SBA will give you 90% of the money you need. Why the fuck wouldn't you do it? If you've been you gotta be in business for 3 or plus years, all right? You gotta have years that are bankable. And all that is, and your lender will talk to you about it, you have to have DSCR, debt service coverage ratio, generally 1.25. So every $100,000 you borrow, you have to show you can make $125,000. This seems fair. Like, they only want 25% more than what they're lending you. It's not even that fucking crazy, right? Now, they're gonna ask how you're gonna finance things, like your down payment. They're gonna wanna know how you're gonna fund the construction, who's on your team, all that stuff. Go ahead and establish. If you're like, I wanna do this, just go and establish with your local bank. If you bank with BOA and Wells and all the big ones, go find a local bank, even if you don't bank with them, and say you wanna talk to one of their small business SBA loan officers if they have it, all right? Show up with those documents. Tell me you wanna talk about the SBA 504 or the 7A. Those are the two best options for you. Then you want to go ahead and assemble your team. That initial team is a GC, an engineer, and a contractor. You have to have them ready to go. You walk into the bank and they will actually take the time to talk to you. They say, cool, what GC firm are you using? You're like, my wife's dad knows some shit about plumbing. You're gonna look like an asshole. And he's likely not gonna loan to you. I will say this, every SBA loan officer I work with, and I work with multiple every week, they actually read the client. They don't just look at the numbers. They listen to the stories. I have not met one SBA loan officer I thought was a dick. I've met many traditional bank loan officers I thought were dicks. Not on the SBA side. I think they're doing a good job. I really think they're doing a good job hiring over there. But they're gonna wanna see you put thought in this, so please just take this advice if you're gonna go this route. Site selection, we identify the site, we submit an LOI, blah, blah, blah. This is kind of boring. This is like the shit I would have to do for you. It's boring, but this is how it works. You are gonna formulate a real estate holdings company. So you have KCI CrossFit LLC. You are then going to create KCI Real Estate Holdings LLC. 2 separate LLCs. The bank in the SBA is going to loan the holding company the money, not your gym. Okay? You're getting the money because your gym's going to be the occupying tenant. It is an owner-occupant building, and that's the only thing the SBA does. They don't do investor loans. Your holdings company will then have a purchase and sales agreement with the seller of the building, and the money the bank gave you will transact. All right? That holdings company will then sign a lease with your gym. You will sign a lease with you. You will then pay you. Okay? With your holdings company, you have your rent, okay? Right? What you have to pay, minus your operating expenses, that equals your profit, okay? And by rent, mortgage. The gym, you've got your revenue minus your operating expenses. What's included in operating expenses? Rent, that's your profit. So we have dual profit coming into you, right? 2 scenarios, you lease your building like I did, you hold on to the asset, you make money on it, and you figure out what you're gonna do with it later on. 2, you sell the building, do whatever you want, right? Those are the 2 options with this thing, or you keep it handed down to your kids, whatever it may be. These are great things to have happen in your life when you busted your ass as a small business owner. Traditional SBA loans, we're gonna go through this quick. Traditional, fast but expensive. On average, 30% down. Not fun. SBA, slow. I like the 504 the best. 10% down, but slower. DSCR, I'm not gonna go over the math of this. Oh, you guys can hit me, I'll send this to you if you want. But this is what we have to check. So when you get on a call with me and we do this free discovery call, I look at your financials. If we're looking to buy, I can tell you right now, it's likely possible or not possible. Even if it's not possible, I'm still gonna have you go talk to bank officers because I want you to create a relationship. And I want you to walk in and be like, I know I'm not the guy, I know I'm not ready yet, but I want you to remember this face, I'm gonna be back in 2 fucking years. I want you to establish that relationship. Coming up with the down payment. So saving money is simple, not easy. I'm not gonna go over these slides, but they will be available to you. This is a 5-year plan, how you can go from 0 to saving for a $2.8 million building in 5 years. So I break down all the different elements of what your profit would be, operating expenses, payroll, everything. I've used this template in pretty much every keynote I've given is in regards to this. And I've had a lot of people afterwards hit me up, be like, dude, that was a great framework. It really helped me look at my expenses, how I'm running the business, and I liked it. It's not exactly how it's gonna work for me, but it got me started. This will be available for you, okay? And this is the last one. This is how to use other people's money to buy a building. Does anyone here, the people that did buy a building, how much did you put down, or did you have an investor?
20% down.
20%? Traditional or SBA?
So our first one was traditional, and then we doubled the square footage and did SBA.
Hell yeah.
40% SBA.
Okay, cool. Hey, who's the other one? The other group? 40%? Okay, awesome. So does anyone here blessed to have 1%er clients? Like rich, like legit rich people in their clientele base? People that altruistically love you. Like they love you, they love the business, they would love nothing more for it to succeed. They also like being rich. It's really hard to get into commercial real estate investing. It's not because of the money. I haven't met anyone who's really rich and is like, oh, the reason I'm not getting in the real commercial real estate isn't because I don't have the money, it's because they don't have the tenant. Do you know how long it takes to find a tenant? My brewery went out of business July of 23. I just signed a new lease with an indoor golf simulator company last month. It's hard to find a tenant, and I'm in the prime of Charlotte, North Carolina, one of the fastest growing markets. And it was hard for me to find a tenant. So here's real quick. If you're an investor and you want to go get a traditional loan, for all the guys who have gone through this, how much money we typically have to put down for traditional? 20, it's 30, it's more or less 30 now, right now. So we're looking at 30%, 20 and 30. For SBA, we already talked about that. How much you have to put down? 10. So if we're the gym owner and you're like, I want to own a building, but I have $0. And there's an investor. He's like, I'd like for you to own a building. I like what you do here. You've saved my marriage. You've saved my life. I look good. I look better naked. I'm super happy. I would love for you to own a building. Let's work together. How would this work? This is the most common deal I put together. The investor is going to go ahead and let's say we're talking about a $1 million sales price. The investor is going to come in. He's going to put in 10% down. Why? Because the two of you are going to go and formulate that commercial real estate holdco. And anybody who owns 20% of that holdco is on there. And they can apply with you for that SBA loan because your gym's going to be the tenant. Now, he put 100% of the equity in. You put 0. How much equity do you think you have right now? 0. But let's come back to this. You're worth how much? If you were thinking about this, if he wanted to do this, he'd have to put down 30, but you're Charlie. You got the golden fucking ticket because you own a small business and you're gonna occupy at least 51% of that building. You now get him the ability to only put down 10. In my opinion, you are now, the gym owner, worth at least 20%. The most common deal is where at signing, the gym owner instantly vests at 20% ownership because he got the investor a 20% reduction in the down payment. And the gym owner, due to the SBA, is now gonna have to sign a 10-year lease. The SBA is gonna require it. Now, as that gym owner, as he continues to successfully pay the rent, and that rent is doing what? Paying down the mortgage. The altruistic investor is gonna let him vest every year an additional 3%. Every year he successfully pays the rent, which is the mortgage. And there's gonna be a delta between what the rent is and what the mortgage is. Gym owners who buy buildings like, my mortgage is cheaper than my rent, I just wanna pay really cheap rent. That's one way to do it. But he's an investor. He's not getting in it to have a mortgage of $6,000 and have rent of $6,000. So we have to come up with a delta. There's gotta be money being spit off here. He's gonna give you 3% equity. And it could be 2, it could be 1.5. I don't know how altruistic he is or how agreeable he is, but in my experience, this has worked. 80% of the time, I've gotten 3% from the investor. So in 10 years, how much does the gym owner own? 50. He's partners, 50-50. That sounds fucking cool. You still got to play gym owner for 10 years, which we all love. I still fucking miss it. And at the end of it, you own 50% of the building. You guys can do something different now. If you want to bow out, your kids are older, you want to move where there's not 3,000 fucking trains. I don't know. Like, you might want to do something, I don't know. But you have options you didn't have when you were paying rent elsewhere. So there's a lot of ways to come up with a deal like this. This is probably the framework for the most common one, because most of us are in a position where we have a great business that cash flows. Life hit us in the balls. We just didn't save. We weren't thinking long term. And this is a way to get a conversation going with someone who does have money and altruistically wants to see good things happen to you. If you ever need help having that conversation, I'd be more than happy to have it with you. And just to close on this real quick, if anything that I ran through here as I sprinted through this thing, which probably didn't feel like it because it fucking took forever. If you guys have any questions or anything, that's email, my cell phone, just shoot me a text, whatever. Thank you guys so much for listening to me. Hope we, down to have conversations about this later. But yeah, appreciate you guys.